so long as like alchemy.
35, Kevin Durant! In his 7th year from Michigan State.
KD and Boogie both in uniform. Boogie obviously returning from the sore right foot. Durant suffered the loss of a close friend who was shot in Atlanta early this morning, or early yesterday morning, I should say at this point. So Kerr, reporting a somber mood around the team for obvious reasons, but Durant would play at Oracle against a feisty Pacers team trying to hold on to home court advantage without their star in one Vic Oladipo. Early on, man, it was a scrappy, ugly game. I had to show that. Draymond, please shoot that layup. That was inexcusable right there. You could just see how his mind's made up. He never even looks at the rim, the early turnover. And this was quite the defensive game. You see Durant with the block, but I mean, it was one of the lowest scoring, first halves we've seen in a while. Clay started off cold. Everybody was cold, but I think it was more of a defensive effort and intensity from both teams, as opposed to teams just playing sloppy and being cold. There's the first basket of the game off a block shot. Coming off the game in Minnesota where Durant seemed to be a little, disengaged, that was not the case tonight. You see him rain the jumper at his spot, and then you're going to see him get another one right here. But the noticeable engagement and effort came on the defensive end from Durant. He was just dialed in, and the rest of the team followed suit defensively. I want you to watch Steph here running on the sideline. Boom. That's a hard fall, and Boogie's going to miss the 3 ball. But I've brought this up several times. Ever since the Curry sixes have been out, how many times has Steph hit the floor? Take a look. That's clearly a shoe problem right there. He caught an edge, as Barnett likes to say, but that would not be the only time he hits the floor in this game. He got kind of chipped up, slipping and sliding, and I don't know, man. Under Armour, get it together. This man, DeMarcus Cousins, came back with an oomph and one rumbling and tumbling to the rim. After watching Miles Turner his rookie year, I was super high on him. And Clay, I know Clay's a strong guy, but that's just soft right there. Miles Turner has severely disappointed me as far as how far he's come along at this point in his career. I know he's a better defender, but offensively, he's just soft. Clay started off 0 of 6. Look at the score, 7-7 midway through the first half. And it's more Boogie bully ball, this time with the drop step and the finish on the same side. Pre-game live, we talked about expecting Durant to come out and probably have an emotional performance here. And again, it was on the defensive end. That's his second block in the first quarter. And then take a look at this travel call on him. This is rare of him to kind of admit like, oh, yeah, you got me. My bad, I did travel, right? Usually shaking their heads, so it was, sometimes these things, something like this puts things into perspective for anybody. Doesn't matter who you are. S-Dot's the final piece. Everybody seems to be playing well and getting it together for the playoffs. S-Dot, where you at? More Charmin soft around the basket for Miles Turner. 7 foot, 250 pounds. That's what you get from the youngster. And then take a look at Iguodala, man. The hands, the scrappiness, the vibranium. I don't know what it is, but he's just been rejuvenated. He says it's his golf game. Here he is out just floating above the rim. You can see the effort that it takes for him to elevate above the rim is almost nothing. That just bodes very well. Now, rumor has it that before we signed Boogie, we wanted Tyreke Evans, and he signed with the Pacers, and apparently the Pacers aren't very pleased with him. Apparently Tyreke likes to party, even in Indiana. He's been late to several practices, and he's not a pro, really. And that's why his career is ended up the way it has. Remember, winning Rookie of the Year over Steph Curry in Sacramento. He still gets buckets. He's still ultra-talented. But at this level, that's the separator. That's why Steph is Steph. The work ethic, the professionalism has made him better and better each season. You see him hit the first 3 of the game for himself. There's Dougie McBuckets. And then Bogut, like he just joined the Mile High Club, gets the standing O.
The last 3 games on the road, and here's Andrew Bogut.
This is how we're going to gauge Sean, though. It's defensively. Is he engaged defensively? That's how you can tell if he's locked in with his effort. And then another positive thing is Draymond seems to be finishing much easier above the rim lately, so hopefully the back and everything is coming together at the right time. And then watch Quinn Cook here. This is a dilemma in the league. You see how he steps in and takes the long mid-range, and every analytics say that's a terrible shot, but for Quinn, he much prefers that than the 3, and so it's kind of a catch-22. Do you want the higher percentage shot or the analytically higher shot? S-Dot reverse rim, got him. And on a night where we were at full strength, how about DeMarcus Cousins was probably the best Warrior on the floor? 19, 11, and 4, ultra efficient. Now here's the new scouting report on Tyreek. He's worked on his mid-range. Clay's not aware of it. He tries to slide under and Tyreek makes him pay. But how you gauge a defender is, that's all right, you make a mistake. Do you adjust quickly? Do you realize the error in your ways? Clay, I love this. That's my favorite shot for him when he's struggling, even though it seems tough. So watch, now he fights over and Boogie helps him out and takes the charge. So the quick adjustment from Clay, I know that was a little higher on the floor, but that's what makes a great defender. They adjust on the fly, even if the scouting report is wrong. Then the immaculately timed block from Clay, and watch Boogie, patience and precision, waiting for Clay on the semi-break. In other news, Jerebko got in the game again and picked up right where he left off, and you can see he's kind of taking his time. I think when he was struggling, he started to speed up his release. He has a slow release, and he was shooting at his speed, and then look at Boogie get out on the three. It was one of the best defensive efforts of the season, held them to 38% shooting from the field. Here's the two-man game, rumbling to the rim. But it's just the little details. The bigs challenging the threes, the extra help helping the help at the rim. It was a team-wide effort defensively. Look at that second effort from Boogie, the box out from Steph, and Dre securing the rebound. All-around effort defensively, and then the hop and the skip all the way to the rim. That boy healthy. Indiana, though, let's credit them, man. Their defense was just as impressive. It's just offensively, without Vic, they really struggled to score. There's Thaddeus Young doing what he does with his left hand, and they hung around. Look at the score here. Midway, more than midway through the second quarter, it looks like a first quarter score, and that's the right call there. And I'm fine with it. You're going to take a look at it, but I want it called on James Harden because Harden uses those elbows to clear through when he's driving all the time. Let's be consistent. More Turner, and maybe I'm being too judgmental. Young players, they're inconsistent. For all I know, he was having cramps on this night or something, but either way, he was very ineffective on the offensive end of the floor. Another thing besides the defense was the ball movement. Look at the sailing lob there. The ball was hopping around and it was crisp. They were making the extra pass, but more importantly, they were executing. And a lot of the times they make the extra pass, but it's kind of sloppy, right? On this night, I thought they executed very well. Durant knocks down the three, and then Bogdanovic, who's kind of been carrying the load offensively for them, he gets the mid-range jumper, and you know, he's a nice, underrated player quietly in Indiana, but take a look at his forehead. Has this dude not been pressing his face against a window, peeping into somebody's house? What's going on, Bogdanovic? I kid. Out in transition, Iguodala swings, and that's tough. Clay was kind of moving backwards into the corner, but watch Iguodala fight for the second possession, and then KD pitter-patter dribble, extra pass, and there's the feet set, and we start to pull away here to end the half. Now, third quarter, Steph, I believe he only had like 3 points in the first half, so concerted effort to kind of give him some looks and get him some shots. He knocks the three ball down, and then we get a little vintage. Bigger, slower defenders switched on to him, and more, please. Dancing, step back corner three, got him. Maybe Durant and some of the other guys need to encourage Steph to be a little more greedy, get a little ISO happy at times, let him find his rhythm. Durant was dialed in, but really just picked his spots. You see him call for the ball, the little one-legged lean on the inbounds. I think what I've been most impressed with from DeMarcus offensively is the English he's able to put on the ball. I can't recall a big guy with that type of English around the basket. Draymond the outlet, and then watch Steph here. Now, to be fair, this game was so low scoring, it was kind of hard to get excited. But I think, you know, Clay's comments a week or two ago, like Oracle hasn't been what Oracle usually is, and the Warriors can feel it. Now, you may ask, how is Indiana the 4th seed in the East? Watch this defensive possession. This is why Nate McMillan, if you remember his days in Seattle, was a lockdown defender, and it's transferred into his coaching in this Indiana team. Look at the rotations, effort, and closeout. They've got a lot of length and size. Again, it's the offensive end where they struggle, and usually Wes Matthews Jr. and Bogdanovic shoot better than they did on this night. Boogie, coast to coast, that's too easy. Steph, only 15 points needed on the night, only took 12 shots, but the defensive effort continues to be there, and then he did have 7 assists. I thought he was more accurate with his passes. The two-footed plant allows Dre to absorb the contact for the and one, and the route is on. I want you to look at Boogie try to chase this guy down here in transition. Thaddeus Young, I believe it is. Look at Boogie. Look at Boogie to the paint. now. That's the foul. That's fine. But that little glance right there, that's going to be important. That's going to be important. There's going to be plays where we need him to hustle and sprint down the court, and it was good to see him able to do that and kind of get into the play. There's the backdoor lob. Everything was flowing. And I do think there was an extra sense of effort and dialed inness, I know that's not a word, because of the situation hovering around Durant. I think the team wanted to show him, like, we got you. We're going to come out here and handle business. They probably don't have a stat for this, but when Iguodala, Draymond, Quinn, and Jerebko all hit threes, yeah, you probably ain't going to win, right? And then Steph, again, defensively, I just hate how many times he hit the floor. His knee was bleeding at one point, and he was kind of limping around. I don't think it was anything serious. It was all, like, superficial, but you could see the blood through his knee pads. You see him checking the knee. So I don't know if Steph will get a few games off here if we can secure the first seed somehow. I'm not sure that's possible. And you say, well, big deal if he has a cut knee, but when on your knee joint, if you have a big scrape on there because of the functioning of the knee and it always bending, you tend to just keep reopening it, and it keeps bleeding and it keeps reopening, and it can be more problematic than you can imagine as an athlete. Steph, though, hits that three, and then to end the third, knocks it down. Now, the question in the fourth would be, could we sit our two MVPs? If it's up to Clay, the answer is going to be yes, as he continues to punish smaller guards switched on him. Can't emphasize enough how big that's going to become playoff time. Iguodala, second steal of the night, on his way to 11 points off the bench in another dunk. And I got to say, you know how initially I think all of us kind of felt apprehensive when Boogie had the ball, right? Like, uh-oh, what's going to happen now? I don't know about y'all, but I'm feeling more confident with the ball in Boogie's hands. His decision-making, his balance, right? He seems like he's creating for others. You see Repko get his second three of the night. Oh, yeah, let's throw McKinney in. So every single other off the bench knocks a three down in this effort. Bell, who I worry that we're not going to see much of him now that everybody's healthy and now that Jerebko has made a case to play again. You see him with this little mid-range pulley, and then he's going to come in here and fly and deny Tyreek at the rim with a spectacular block. And I want to point out the bench. No one's up on their feet, waving their towels, hooting and hollering. And I think it just shows a maturity and a sense of unity within this team, understanding that Durant is grieving, and they're kind of standing by his side by just coming out, taking care of business in more of a serious fashion. And you can't complain, man. This is about as good as it gets defensively. You've got everybody starting to look good or better. The guys that we have been questioning headed into the playoffs got to secure the #1 spot. We got back-to-back Detroit and Dallas. You know I'll be back with both of those recaps. I'm out, y'all.
So long.